Hi, everyone. I'm Matt. This is Prague. Welcome.
Today we're going to talk about get your first Agentforce win, and we have like few examples, few backgrounds, and few use cases that we could able to walk you through.
If you haven't done the surveys yet, now's a great time to do it. It's first day, so not everyone's done it. Still have a chance to get the $10 Starbucks gift card. Go ahead and grab that QR code. So my name is Matt Kaufman. I've been working in the Salesforce ecosystem since 2002 as a former employee, as a consulting partner, and as an App Exchange partner as well.
And my name is Prague. I'm in Salesforce MVP, and being in the Salesforce ecosystem for 15 years. I'm a founder and CEO of a niche Salesforce consulting firm named Skill Cohort. We are trying to primarily focus on help solving data cloud, commerce cloud, revenue cloud, and field service problems for customers who belong to retail industry, manufacturing, health and life science, and high tech. Okay, we both are pretty pumped to share our knowledge with you guys. And I would like to start today's session with a statement which is, we all are moving towards data-centric interactions versus application-centric interactions. What it means by that is, like at least even like 16 to 18 months before, the way we try to understand and find answers are more towards an application layer, right? For example, if you want to know how many records got created, okay, let's take something very easy. Like if you want to know what are all the number of games that's been happening in the last few days, you always go and Google it and try to understand. But like now, the way we are interacting and try to learn and understand is more through conversational. So what I'm trying to explain is we're going to take a step back, which is like from application layer to like data-centric layer to move like 5 steps forward, which is like having more conversational and interaction that actually like helps you to have much more detailed information about anything that you can think of, right? So for example, like when was the last time that you guys went and Googled something to learn versus like go to one of these GPT user interface? Google versus OpenAI like ChatGPT or Claude to learn or to know about something, right? Like we all are more inclined towards OpenAI or like Claude to understand about anything because like none of those Google searches gives us answer at the first question itself, right? Like we have to like narrow down and we have to like spend hours to understand some specific concepts. But today it actually makes much more easier for us to narrow down our questions and could able to get the exact answers. So that's how we all actually like handling on our day-to-day basis in terms of our learning and like understanding anything. But moving forward, it's going to happen more and more in the enterprise level, right? At your workplace, like you're gonna try to understand how good your code base is. You're not going to go run and you're not going to go at each and every code level. You're going to ask Copilot to understand how good your code is going to happen. That's the same thing from the executive levels. They're going to know. They're going to ask about like when was the last highest opportunity got created versus closed. They're not going to go run reports to know about those information. So that's the direction that we all are like, unknowingly moving towards in terms of learning. And when we are trying to do that, let's just pick one industry as an example, which is like retail industry. Think about different forms of data that's been created, right? Start from like website visit data points, like there's like bunch of data points that you're collecting. Then from customer loyalty program data points. Then like order system data points. There's like different kinds of data points that's coming from different channels. And also think about the different kinds of sources. Like there are something which is structured data points, then you're going to collect something from an unstructured data points. For example, if somebody is giving and feedback about your product, that's going to be fall under unstructured information as and feedback. So you're going to collect different kinds of data points as well. And traditionally, how we always do it is like we have to connect all of those individual systems in a linear way, but it's time consuming, it takes forever, and the maintenance is always high. And if you also think about the data duplication, like every single like scanning, and if you are a customer, if you come to Dreamforce, you will be created as a specific lead in Salesforce. And if you are attending a webinar, it will be creating another one. So that's going to be different references of you as an individual is going to be like collecting in the system. That's how it's been done for ages. But how it all is going to change the way we explained about like clicks versus like application layer to the interaction layer is what we're going to see it in action.
Yeah, so if the example that Prague gave earlier is perfect. If you think about it, if you were to do a search on your favorite search engine a couple years ago, you'd get a long list of websites that tell you, okay, I got to click on each of these and hopefully find the answer to my question. Well, imagine you did a search for Acme in your Salesforce. You're going to get a long list of accounts, of leads, of opportunities, and you have to click in each one to figure out if it's the right one. But now, with AI, when you ask a question, you get this beautiful crafted answer. And you don't have to open up a bunch of pages. You don't have to click in through links and figure stuff out on your own. We want to bring that to our Salesforce. And the way we do it is with Data360. So inside all of our Salesforce orgs, we have a lot of data. And we want to use Data360 to reduce that so that we can just ask a question and get an answer. And the first step is connecting Data360 to our Salesforce. And you can actually connect it to multiple Salesforces if you want. And Salesforce, the company, makes it really easy for us to do that because they make both products. So when you connect Salesforce to Data360, you can choose to just say, use my Salesforce data. And that's what we're seeing in this picture right now. We're seeing that the very first big button available when you go to create a new data stream is Salesforce CRM. And if you don't already have Data360 enabled in your Salesforce org, you have no excuse. It's included free with the Foundations product that you can add on to your existing licenses. You could also, if you want, go to Trailhead, sign up for an org there, for Playground, and get to play with it there too if you want. So everyone should be able to do this today, no excuses. So very first thing you do, you choose that big Salesforce button. Then it says, you know what? I even know more about Salesforce than you do, because again, Salesforce built this for us. It says, I know, Salesforce knows that a lot of people keep track of sales, a lot of people keep track of services, they keep track of marketing, products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They built these bundles. So you don't even have to specify, please get my accounts, contacts, and cases, or please get my accounts, contacts, opportunities, and leads. You just choose, yeah, I'm using it for sales. I'm using it for both. You can choose as many of these bundles as you want, and it'll automatically bring in the data for you. So we're not doing this with any code. We're integrating two systems. They happen to both be made by Salesforce with just clicking buttons. Everyone has a mouse. We can do it that quickly. If you say, yeah, but I use Salesforce differently at my company, we built a bunch of custom objects, or we don't use leads, or whatever it may be, that's okay too. Salesforce knows that. They know that a lot of people extend the platform and they build customized stuff. So they have an option where you can say, I don't want a bundle. I want to be able to choose the objects. And you can choose each one individually, whichever objects you want. Here you can see, you just search for it, and then you can pull in leads. So if you don't want to do opportunities, you just want to do leads, that's maybe where you have a lot of records, you can choose that too. Super easy, all point and click, no code. Next part, if you've ever built an integration, you often know that you have to map it. So Salesforce and Data360 are technically two different databases. So we're going to unify our Salesforce data into data in Data360. We've got to say, oh yeah, we actually have like 4 phone fields, and we got 5 email fields, and so on and so forth. It's very common that people keep building out their Salesforce, but we want it to be perfect in Data360, and so we can map it. And this is just a drag and drop or click and click screen. On the left-hand side, we're looking at our Salesforce data and all the fields there. And on the right-hand side, created for us automatically when we selected that Salesforce source, it went and created like very pretty, unique fields that we can just map it to. And so if you do have a scenario where we got some old data from 2008 where everyone filled in other phone, but after 2010 we stopped using it, you don't need to bring in other phone as a separate field in Data360. You could just map that other phone into the phone field and map the mobile phone into the phone and so on and so forth and unify that data not only at the record level but the field level too.
Okay, so that sounds like we don't have to worry about deduplication, which was a very big problem for all of us. And we all at least like spent a couple $100,000 before centralized data platform as a solution to address the deduplication problem. And every time when we try to take any action in the deduplication, like one or the other way we lose data. The best case of losing data is sometimes you lose the audit trail in terms of like when was the first lead record gets created, even though it's kind of considered as a duplicate record. Like by deduplicating, you're going to lose the audit trail of it. But the worst case of the problem is most of the time you lose the real information. But by the time you did deduplication, you may consider that information is not a valuable information. But in the future state, that information might be the most important valuable information. So deduplication is always helpful before centralized data platform. But today, like our recommendation is you don't have to worry about deduplication, right? Today, the more data points about like individual profile or a human or a company is like much more valuable for you. So that's why we are talking about unification. It is actually like much more valuable for you to get much more data points about your prospect or your current customer, so that like you could able to either increase your revenue or like increase your customer success score with them.
So how do we do that unification? Well, the key is that Data 360 includes rules that you can create. And these rules have a fuzzy logic availability. So my name is Matt, but technically, if you were to look at my ID, it says Matthew. Sometimes I fill out a form and I put Matt. Sometimes I fill out a form and I put Matthew. Every once in a while, I might even misspell my name. I'm still one person. And Data 360 is smart enough to be able to figure that out with fuzzy logic. Phone number, same thing. When you enter in a phone number, most of us are putting in, if you're in the US, 3-digit area code and 3-4, right? But sometimes if you have an international tool, you have to put a +1 in front of it. Sometimes you take out the hyphens, you have this, and so on and so forth. Data 360 is smart enough to trim all that out and normalize that information. Same with addresses, and we can build rules and rule sets for the different types of data to help us unify. So here's an example. In a demo org that I set up, I had a bunch of data, and I put very simple rules, just said, okay, clean it up for me. And we can see that it was able to find 16% duplicates. And this is at a very small, you can see there's only 1.23, so 1,000 records, right? That's not a lot of records. Most of us have a lot more leads than that. And it was already able to find with just sample data, 16% overlap, and then condense that. And that's really important because if you think about it, we're all here today, right? Why are we here? We registered for TDX, but Salesforce knew who we were ahead of time, right? Because most of us Salesforce orgs. So inside the company's Salesforce, they had us already. Then we registered for TDX, they have us again. Then I did a mini hack over there, they have me again. I did another one over there, they have me. How many records are we creating just today in Salesforce's org? Can you imagine how crazy that would be to look in their org? But in Data 360, there's just one me there. And it knows that sometimes I go by Matt, sometimes I go by Matthew. I used to have this phone number, I also have this other phone number, and so on and so forth. It's all unified with these rules. And you can customize the rules yourself. The key is, once this is run, you can take a look and say, oh yeah, you know what? We used to collect data differently. And so we should update our rule to also include driver's license, because we have that. Or to also include address, because we want to include that too. And you can decide how you want to unify your data over time and keep tweaking it and running it. And then as the data comes in on that first slide that we looked at, it was called a stream. Well, streams are constantly flowing with water, and so as that data continuously flows in, these rules can be applied to unify that data. So this is the best part. Data 360 is made by Salesforce. Salesforce is made by Salesforce, right? And most of us are hopefully admins in the room that feel comfortable using point-and-click tools like Flow inside our Salesforce. Well, our Salesforce and our Data 360 are so close together. We don't have to actually build the integration. They're so close together that even in our flows and our reports in Salesforce, we can leverage our Data 360 data. So we don't have to build an integration to take it to another platform, unify it there, and then build another integration to bring it back. That's already built for us. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Data 360 is available to all of us. You can turn it on today using the Foundation SKU, or go to Trailhead and play with it there. So there's no excuse not to be playing with this, and use it with your flows, use it with your reports, and get better data out of all of our sales tools, service tools, etc.
Cool. So now you understand about like what are all the benefits of moving your data to Data 360 and what are all the activations or the outcomes of it. If you see it from a data standpoint, think that you don't have Data Cloud and think you don't have Agentforce. If you're looking to generate an executive summary about the lead creation for your sales team or your customer success story for your customer success manager or the leadership, like all you have to do it is you have to export data in a way, and then you have to process it, and you have to put it in a readable and a presentable situation. It usually takes like 2 to 3 weeks. Now the data is already stale, and also like by the time you present it, and if the meeting gets delayed by a week, then you have to redo all of those things, right? So there's like a lot of manual work. So when it comes to a lot of data work, think it this way, like data work has to be done in Data Cloud so that like you can able to generate the latest information. Okay, and we have a nice example of like how Agentforce would be a better, best fit, because that's what the title is, which is like get your first Agentforce win, which is like, yes, Agentforce one's fantastic, but if you want to see it as a real win, you need to have all the data right in place so that like it can give you what you're looking for. And today is Wednesday morning and I want to understand how many leads has been created in the last 14 days, I can just ask Agentforce and give me all the leads. And I can ask like, okay, which one has the highest lead score and which is the lead that I have to go behind and what is the biggest opportunity that's been sitting in my pipeline for the last 20 days. And like all of those interactions can happen before even the workday starts from the executive level so that they know how they have to define their day and what kind of departments and the people that they want to work with, right? So all of those value adds, at least from the executive levels to start with, is like much more easy when you have Agentforce that sit on top of Data 360.
Yeah, if a sales manager were to ask you, as a Salesforce administrator, how many new leads did we get last month? They're not asking how many new lead records did we get, right? We can run a report and see how many new lead records we got. They're really asking how many new potential businesses did we get? How many new potential customers did we get? Which is a very different question. You can't just run a report filtering on date for that. And so when we do this unification into Data 360, we can now actually find that out. How many truly unique and new leads did we get last month? And this is, again, it's a real example from that demo org. It was 485. And so if I had run it in a Salesforce report, the number would probably have been over 1,000. But we were able to reduce that with a true answer. What I like to say is, if we want to improve our sales, we're going to use a sales tool like Salesforce. We want to improve our services, we're going to use a service tool like Service Cloud, right? But if we want to improve our data, shouldn't we use a data tool like Data 360? Next question I was asking them. How many leads were created last month with emails ending in @gmail or @outlook.com? So we're all admins, we know how to do this. I can create a formula field, and in that formula field, it's going to look at the email field, and if it contains Outlook or contains Gmail, I'm going to put a 1 or a true, and then I can now run my report, right? But maybe I have a rule that says I'm not supposed to create new fields without running through some type of process or creating it in a sandbox and then deploying through environments, et cetera, et cetera. So now, I got to run the report, export it, and then I got to do some type of column with a formula, and it's just like, what? This is worse than asking a question to Google and getting 1,000 results. I have to do a lot of work to answer this. So instead, we want Agentforce to be able to have access to clean data, and then you could just ask it. And this is what AI agents are really good at. They're great at looking at large data sets, iterating it through, and then coming up with the answer. And so you can see there was 27 in my sample data set, really easy. And finally, this was a really hard question, but we got an accurate answer. It was, what % of attendees of this talk gave us a great review? And it was actually 100%. So Agentforce is always right. You got to remember that. If you haven't filled out the survey yet, the QR code's coming up.
All right. I know we talked about a lot of things. We kind of touched a lot of points. But what we would suggest is this is going to be your main key takeaway. So if you want to take pictures, we will recommend you to take this. And I'm not going to read line by line, but some of the things that I would like to call out is, if you don't activate Data Cloud in your Salesforce org, please do it because it's free. Like there's obviously, it comes with a certain number of credits. So you can just like turn it on and play around, try to understand. Number 2, make sure that you have your org holy book, which is your data dictionary. Like please make note of all the fields that you're creating or like maintaining in your Data Cloud and what's the purpose of it. And that is going to be the referencing point for today and also like 5-10 years from today. Like make sure that you have that book. And then, definitely upskill your understanding or play with flows because like that's going to be the automation layer even for Data Cloud. So it's going to be really helpful for you. Trailhead. Like Trailhead is going to be your best buddy. Make sure that you take advantage of Trailhead. Like again, there's like a lot of Trailhead modules which actually helps you to understand. Even though if you never touched anything related to Data 360, it actually helps you. And the last and the most important thing, Data Cloud is not related to Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, right? Like it's purely consumption based. So pay very, very close attention in terms of how many credits you are consuming. Okay, like make sure that you pay very close attention to understand the usage of your Data Cloud credits. Okay, and if you can scan this QR code, I think you will get a form. And if you want a copy of this deck, we'll be happy to give you. And I think we have few swags that we will be happy to give you. And if you have any questions, like now is the time. We could able to take some more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.